Hello everyone, my name is Aladino and together with my wife Maya we are refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. The refit is going really well. Things are going quicker and quicker. Last week I did a tiny bit of interior cabinetry and Maya varnished beams overhead, which look marvelous. And Maya's dad Brian arrived with our new bulkhead, which will be a thrust bulkhead for the Aqua Drive. This week I also have some aesthetic tasks, but first I'm going to install the thrust bulkhead in the engine room. We have the bulkhead at its critical position or at its accurate position, so it's time to make sure it stays there. So I'm gonna almost like do spot welding, but I'm gonna use these epoxy total mode cartridges. I'll use these because they're real easy. It just comes out of the caulking gun and mixes it, and it's fast cure. That's why I just want to get it in place and not have it move anymore, especially because it's a lot of people in here now walking around, and if we bump it, I really want to get it glued on as quickly as possible. But later on I'll mix a bigger batch of epoxy and I'll apply pretty big fillets. That's because I want to have a pretty big radius of the fiberglass that I will add. But let's just get it in place for now so it doesn't move anymore. I am happy to announce that the anxiety is gone of possibly moving the shaft and having the bulkhead misaligned, because the epoxy has cured and it's all solidly in place. So next few steps, you can see I have a heater going in here. So yeah, I'm starting to plan out the fiberglassing. Just in case you haven't seen the previous episodes where I dive more in depth about the Aqua Drive, it's a constant velocity joint. Aqua Drive is a brand, and it basically disconnects the engine from thrust. Usually it's pushed by the propeller and the vibration mounts take up the load, but now there is the Aqua Drive in between, and all the load is taken up by the structural bulkhead. And on the note of having chosen aluminum for the bulkhead, yes, dissimilar metal corrosion is an issue, but it can be mitigated. So we're gonna use plastic washers. We're also gonna isolate with Tef gel, which is one of the many options that you have. So I'm not too worried. Again, if you keep your eyes on things and you isolate things properly, this is not a problem. I know that many might be wondering why I'm not using G10, and even though it seems like I go above and beyond on some tasks, we really try to make do with what we have and with what we can get quickly and locally sometimes also. In terms of materials. So yes, G10 would have been a good choice, but it just would have taken a lot more time in sourcing. I think aluminum is going to be perfectly fine, and that's why we chose it, because it was readily available.
Well, everybody knows that this old hound dog can run. Yeah, everybody knows that this old hound dog can run. There ain't nothing left for me here. It's safe to say my time has come. So I pack my bags, I'm heading now, rolling down on 61.
Alright, I've done the prep work in the engine room. I only have to abrade the aluminum. That's for the very end because I had a lunch break in between, and one really has to do that right before epoxying, because otherwise it creates that oxidation layer fairly quick, half an hour I've heard. Aluminum creates a protective oxidation layer, and so that would prevent anything from bonding to it because there is this layer in between. So scuffing it up, degreasing right away, and then getting right to work, and then I think we should get a pretty good bond. I am laying up the glass now. I always do that. Have to have a game plan. Also prep the peel ply, and then when you start mixing epoxy, yeah, then it's all a little more controlled. So let me turn the camera around, show you a bit of that prep. So there is one layer of 1708 covering the plate, extending a bit. Then there's another one of 1708 going a bit further. And what you see here, this is unidirectional. The fibers only run in this orientation. So yeah, that's really to transmit that strength. And it's folded up, so it's a double layer. And then I have one additional that I didn't clamp on right now because it's the same cloth, but instead of folding it in half, I folded it 5 times, so you get a narrower strip. And it's basically the width of the engine beds, and it's 50 inches long, so it goes from the beginning of the stringer all the way to over the plate, and the same on the other side that will go over there. So that's really a bundle of fibers exactly at that width, and then intersecting here on our bulkhead. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna take this out again, lay it in the manner that I want to apply it, so it's all prepped, and then I'm gonna do the same preparation and laying out the glass for the other side of the bulkhead. And yes, I intend to beef it up even further, cover some things in the end with 1708, but I'm out of fiberglass. No big deal though. I can, as you can see, proceed. I can get a few good layers of fiberglass on there, and I really don't mind splitting tasks up. Instead of putting 10 layers on, I prefer doing 5 today and 5 another day. Yes, that means there will be a bit more prep involved again. But yeah, all in all, this is something very important. It's okay to do it well, and I feel like I can accomplish a better result if I do it in 2 rounds instead of smushing it all in there in one go. And yeah, it's already going to be time consuming and intense enough. So let's just try to get this on for now.
Unfortunately, the camera battery died, so we didn't get a full time lapse of the fiberglassing process, but the end results looked really good.
Oh. Oh, I'm so tired. It's 7 in the evening. I had to power through once you start fiberglass missions like this. To be honest, I could have done only one side and then the other, but what good is that? Then I come back and I have to start all over again with laying up plastic to do glass work, so I did it. But it went pretty well. It's just that it's a confined space. The engine beds are pretty much as wide as I am, so when I'm in there, I couldn't avoid touching one side or the other. But yeah, there is a lot of unidirectional glass on there now. Over 50 ounces of unidirectional going around it. But for now, good night.
Back to the varnishing. We've got 3 coats in here, so I'm going to call it at that. 3 coats of the PP Extra. In the galley, we just have the 2 coats of the PP Extra, so I'll do 1 more coat there. But here, I'm going to do a really light sanding just to even things out, and then I'm going to apply the satin finish varnish. This is where I start to get really excited, where things really start to look good. So, looking forward to that process. While I worked on the varnish, Aladino worked on taking the butterfly hatch off and apart. The butterfly hatch does leak a little bit. Before we built the shed, we did notice that, and that's kind of to be expected. These butterfly hatches are notorious for being sources of leaks. So we're gonna take the whole thing apart, reseal it up with more modern materials, you know, epoxy and all of that, and then put it all back together and varnish it so that it looks really nice. The trickiest thing is going to be taking the glass out. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to happen without the glass breaking, but that's a future problem. That's not happening right now, so we'll see about that in future episodes. Schatzi, what are you doing?
Removing tape.
Oh no. How's it going?
Oh, well, it's going. Almost done.
Well, yes, almost done. The tape is almost off. And here we have the result, which is hard to see with the way the light is right now. So I'll get some better footage after.
Yeah.
But you have been at it for a while, this removing of tapes. Thank you for doing it. You're almost there now.
Yeah, thanks for varnishing. It looks great.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll get some proper light shining up there and show you in a moment. So yes, the overhead is done. If you've been following the channel, you know the whole dilemma I had with this overhead. I didn't want to do it because it's not fun working overhead, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work and a lot of really fiddly sanding. And it was all of those things, absolutely. But it does look good, and you know, I'm happy I did it in the end. It does look really nice.
Now I'm going to peel off the peel ply and do a bit of cleaning up. There is always edges standing up. I gotta check for voids, and ultimately I'm prepping the surface for a little more fiberglass to put over top of it. My go-to tools for this are the oscillating multi-tool, also known as the Fine, which is a brand though. So to cut glass, then I really like using carbide blades. They last a really long time. To sand difficult areas, then I use the triangles, those little sandpapers, and usually I go pretty harsh at it with 60 grit. And another tool that I really like is the Dremel. And so this one is more of a dentist tool. It just spins. And I really like using the sanding cones, also in like 40 grit or 60, whatever's available. So yeah, let's do a little bit of a prep in here and see how it turned out. Now I'm going to install several other pieces on the exterior of the boat. first port light frame is going in place.
Awesome.
So Francois helped us clean this up a little bit. They still had old caulking on them, and yeah, so now they look nicer. The process is not quite streamlined though, because they don't all fit yet, which is really strange. I don't know why, but this one does, so I'm just gonna install one, because I don't have enough clamps to do all of them anyway, all at once. So yeah, I'll start with this one, see how the process goes, because I'm going to be extra particular about it again.
What a shock. Everybody is surprised.
Everybody's surprised indeed. But it's the same story. If you know me, then you know what I'm about to say. I don't want to put screws into our wonderful, protective, strong fiberglass, which is encasing the cabin top, of course. These frames, they are aesthetic only. They in no way help hold in the window. So I'm only going to glue them on, and eventually, when we have more time, also glue screw heads in so that it all ties in nicely and looks good too. But for now, it's only about getting the frame adhered. And for that, I always use my good friend Sikaflex and a little bit of primer first. So that's what I'm going to do now. Apply a bit of primer on the frame, a bit here on the abraded surface, put on the Sika, clamp it down with 4 clamps, and then go about the fiddly process of seeing which other frame fits right now. So then I'm going to do maybe one more.
I don't
remember that. Maybe we didn't.
I have a vague memory of like when we were installing the portholes. I remember it exactly. I came into the boat.
That's possible.
You were installing things, and then I was like, wait,
yeah,
this is in the wrong place, and then you were like, it's fine. So we maybe just need to play jigsaw a little bit.
So I have to either play jigsaw, or I have to file away a bit of material to make them fit. Like this one, I can press as much as I want. It's not going to go in further.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a little messy.
How's it looking this morning, Jatsi?
Well, very messy, as
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah.
So I'll just try to clean it up now.
All right.
The small clamps definitely work better, but
Okay.
I only have a few of those. Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited that these frames are going on.
Yeah, me too.
These aesthetic details, yeah, this
Totally.
is what I'm here for.
And
Love
the
it.
Sika doesn't stick all too well to metal without the primer, so you can also just, yeah, it's a bit of cleaning effort, but it's gonna look okay.
Awesome. Yay!
So the handrails got tightened further, and that allowed me to put in the bungs now. So the handrails are almost done. I'll just sand them a little bit for the last touch, but the bungs are chiseled and looking really good. I've also cleaned up the port side of the port frames that I installed. Those are looking good, and I have 2 more glued on starboard now. Tomorrow we do the last 2. But now we turn our attention to the hatches. As you can see here, I have, well, I call it the butterfly hatch, but it doesn't open like a traditional butterfly hatch. The whole thing opens fore and aft. Maya sanded the forward hatch, and now I'll turn my attention to this one. But for now, this episode is coming to a close. I'm really happy with the progress we made this week. The boat is looking more and more like a boat. I like all these little details that we're adding, from eyebrow to handrails to non-skid and now port whole frames. It seems like small details, but yeah, they really make the aesthetic. Thank you all so much for watching and commenting. Big thanks to our patrons, and huge thanks to the names now appearing on the screen for making sure that we can keep going, keep doing what we do, because it's what we love doing. So yeah, huge thanks, and we will see you all next Friday.